All right, in this video we're going to be working more on the rear of the machine for these winter projects. Going to be getting into the clutch, changing out some wear items on the clutch, giving everything a good clean and inspection. I'm going to change out the intake tube with another silicone piece. Right now this machine has the stage 3 aftermarket Assassin's engine tune in it. I want to step up to a 3.5, which is going to involve putting in, well, basically regapping the plugs down to, I think it was 20 thousandths is what aftermarket Assassin said, so that the increased boost pressure doesn't screw with the spark. I already have the catch can to keep the intake charge clean from the crankcase fumes and little oil mist that you get out of the crankcase. I've got the silicone charge tube and the billet blow-off valve that I just have that vented to atmosphere because I like the turbo noises. But this intake tube will do away with some of the kind of plumbing, if you want to call it that used to route the blow-off, the pressure blow-off back into the intake system. I've already got the silicone J-tube, big upgrade, love this. I've already got a turbo muffler with no catalytic converter. And so the intake tube is basically the last step to make sure that the intake system is upgraded well enough for all the extras that I'm asking out of it.
Hell yes.
Here's my new intake tube. Not much to it. We're gonna see what all is in the way to get this thing pulled out, or get the stock one pulled out, get this one put in. Another thing that I'd like to do in this video, this is basically a lot of what I'm doing is just maintenance, wintertime maintenance. I've already found some things in the last video in the front end that I didn't realize were so bad, like those U-joints. So taking the downtime to poke around in here keeps me busy, and it makes me feel better knowing that when it is time to start riding again, I'm as well prepared as possible. So I'm going to get to removing that stock tube. Looks like there's a couple things in the way, but we'll just get at it. So looking at this in here, we've got sensor, clamp, and we got this SOB in here. I guess it would have been too hard for them to spin this around, so I don't have to take off the aluminum heat shield.
Sons of bitches.
But whatever, it is what it is. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3 10 mils here, 10 mil here, and I believe just the 1 10 mil over here on the passenger side. Okay, so I was getting nowhere just trying to yank this off. So I got the stupid clamp out of the way, and there's what looks like a lock ring in here. So I can't imagine it's not there for a good reason. So let's see if I can pry it out of there, and maybe we'll make some progress now. Son of a bitch. Well, that sucked. That bottom where it goes onto the turbo, I scored it some with that razor blade. I didn't really want to go all the way through because I didn't want to scratch anything underneath. I did a little bit. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but it's gotta just effing pull. You just got to keep pulling and get mad and cuss. And the worse the cuss words that you use seem to kind of give you the superpowers. I don't know, to get her off of there, but it's off. This is the tube that used to go to the blow-off valve, and you can see where it would have routed it right back into the intake. So that's gonna be nice to get that out of there because our new one does not need it. It's just got a plug on it. So next step is to put this bad boy in.
Push it good. Push it. Push it real good.
Well, that's the install of that intake tube. Straightforward, but frustrating. You gotta be prepared to just fight that old piece coming out. I did put a little bit of silicone grease, as you saw, on the end of the turbo side, the side that comes out of the turbo, because it just wasn't going on. It's a barbed end on the turbo, so I'm not worried about, after I tighten down that clamp, I'm not worried about it coming off under boost. So yeah, got all the heat shields back in. That's that in a nutshell. I think I'll probably get into the clutch and CVT next. Okay, next up is going to be the clutch. I like to get into the belt box there at least a couple times a year. There's a lot going on in there that you can't really keep an eye on. And if it goes bad, then it's probably going to go bad, like really bad. So I'm going to go ahead and disassemble it. I'm going to do a couple of maintenance, change out some wear parts in there, give everything a good cleaning, and then throw it all back together. All right, so what I'm gonna do here first is pull off the cover, 10 mil bolts. Then I'm gonna pull the spider out. I'm gonna be changing out the these little wear pucks. I got some new ones from Aftermarket Assassins. The ones that are in it, they look fine. I'm sure that they have had some wear on it. The machine's got, I think, 2,500 miles on it or so. I don't really remember right now. But being that this is still my stock clutch that I just upgraded with this, the clutch plate here. It's got a Dynajet clutch kit in it. And with the tune on the machine, I feel like I'm asking a lot out of this clutch. So I'm gonna try and keep fresh parts in it until the sheaves start showing a lot of wear, and it's time to upgrade, and then it's time to upgrade the entire clutch. So I'm gonna start disassembling it. Like I said, 10 mil. The shift weight is also 10 mil, and I'm gonna replace these pins as well. I've got new ones. I found that it's probably from washing up after rides. I'm probably getting a little bit of water spray into the exhaust. So the belt box exhaust is right here, and it exits out on top of the engine. And I think that that's where I'm getting some moisture in there, because I do my best not to, well, I've gone better than a year without flooding the belt box. Last time I had the clutch apart, everything was dry. I haven't gotten any water in it since, but I think I'm getting some water spray in there when I wash off after riding, because these pins, they are getting some surface rust on them, and then it doesn't want to shift right. So I'm gonna change out for the new pins, and gonna put a little bit of grease on them, and that's just gonna be part of every time I take the clutch off, inspecting those pins. Now you want to make sure that you use a torque wrench on these and do not over torque them, because they'll break. You can see how skinny they get there, and if you break one of those, you're screwed. You're not going to go to the hardware store and buy another one. So I'm going to change these out and keep all the old parts as spares in case I do damage one during servicing of the clutch, or lose one, or anything like that. So yeah, I'm just gonna set the camera up on tripod and get to this. This is a Dynajet kit. Normally they want it to be 4 weights I think 4 weights and 2 weights for the setup on my Razor with 32-inch tires for like a sand mud setup. At wide open throttle, 55 mile an hour, I was still like just above 7,000 RPMs, and I believe you want to be just over 8,000. I pulled weights. When you pull weights from these, it'll raise your RPM. So I got it to where I'm just about 8,000 RPM at 55 mile an hour wide open throttle. So I get much harder acceleration. Okay, the secondary is much simpler. Just rotate the sheaves apart. Inspect your wheels, make sure that the little clip on the end is still here and that they spin nice and freely. I've cleaned this as well with just soapy water and then blow all the air out of it. Make sure she's dry. And then you got your helix. This is a aftermarket Assassin's helix. It's got a different ramp design. 1043. It's designed for, I guess, harder acceleration, along with the aftermarket Assassin's Red Spring.
Seen some other brands out there that each one of these lights was about $90 to $100 a piece, whereas if you go on JCLGL's website right now, I'll leave a link in the description below, each one of these lights was somewhere between $40 and $50 per light. So these ones are significantly cheaper.
All right, my next little project for the razor here is going to be, I took these mud flaps. They're like mud flaps. They were flares that used to go up here, and it would keep the tire from flinging mud up and into the cabin, and same thing on the front. They were nice, but it looks cooler without them. So I took them off, and then, I don't know, we're gonna see if I can just deal with the mess to have a cooler looking rig. But one thing that was really effective about them is, on these razors, this gap here, all along here, that gap leads into the cabin behind the seat. Well, you can't really see it. In any case, any dirt that gets into the cabin, it just, you know, when you rinse it out, it just makes its way down to sit on top of the skid plate. And then that's just that much more often that you need to pull off the skid plate to clean out all that garbage. So I'm going to make aluminum panels to go in here. So that is going to be my next little project. Here we go.
How you play the game with the people that writing the rules? Ain't the fame that I'm after when paying the dues. I've been through the pain that's reflected in the attitude. Might be winning now, but the thing is that I had to lose. So go and tell me what you really wanna do. And lonely at the top, cause there ain't a lot of room. Ain't no other option, that's all I ever knew. So I'ma get it poppin', you know how I'ma do. I've been down through the blood and the sweat. Guarantee you can know I'm a threat. I've been down through the blood and the sweat, and I ain't close to being done yet, I'm going all in. Yeah, I'm going all in. jump. Ain't no love lost, we just really doing us. Go and take your seat, looking silly getting up. Y'all know what it is, let me tell them what it was. It was 24/7 on the grind, one thing at a time. Hard to understand, kind of person got the state of mind. We was making moves every day, getting things in line. You could go and say what you want, but believe that I've been down through the blood and the sweat. Guarantee you can know I'm a threat. I've been down through the blood and the sweat, and I ain't close to being done yet, I'm going all in. Yeah, I'm going all in. Yeah, and I ain't close to being done yet, I'm going all in. Yeah. Top, cause there ain't a lot of room. Ain't no other option, it's all I ever knew. So I'ma get it poppin', you know how I'ma do. I've been down through the blood and the sweat. Guarantee you can know I'm a threat. I've been down through the blood and the sweat, and I ain't close to being done yet, I'm going all in. Yeah, I'm going all in. Yeah, and I ain't close to being done yet, I'm going all in. Yeah, they know I'm going all in. Through the blood and the sweat, y'all know we ain't close to being done yet, I'm going all in. I've been down from the jump. Ain't no love lost, we just really doing us. Go and take your seat, looking silly getting up. Y'all know what it is, let me tell them what it was. It was 24/7 on the grind, one thing at a time. Hard to understand, kind of person got the state of mind. We was making moves every day, getting things in line. You could go and say what you want, but believe that I've been down through the blood and the sweat. Guarantee you can know I'm a threat. I've been down through the blood.
So I was gonna end the video with patching that tire, but I decided to do one more thing. When I bought the Razor, it had basically a new set of Netto trail grapplers on them. They're really good tires. I basically swapped them out because the Sedona trail saws are a way cooler looking tire in my opinion. But I kept them, and that was probably 4 years ago or something, like 3 or 4 years ago. I kept wanting to sell the tires. You know, what are you gonna get for what are you gonna get for used tires? A couple $100. And like I said, they still have basically all of their tread on them. So I figured I'll get more life out of my trail saws if I've got a different set of rubber to throw on for the charity rides that we like going on, because that's occasional pavement, and the hard gravel roads, they tend to kind of chew up the tires, since, you know, obviously the rear's locked on these. So I decided to get some another set of wheels for my my old set of tires. Since this set is just going to be really for on-road, I didn't see the need to pay the extra for the bead locks. So I just went to RMC and ordered up basically the cheapest just traditional rims that they had, and this is what I came up with.
What's in the box?
I believe they're called the Tusk Tinic. That's like their model name or whatever for them. So I went with the 5.2 offset. That's the same offset that my bead locks are. And I think it looks a little bit nicer with a little bit wider of a rim. So yeah, I guess it's time to start fighting with tires and spoons and get these thrown on. right, so got the tires mounted up. The new tires are going to be more suitable for driving on road, on gravel road, because as you can see, they have a much squarer profile than my trail saws, which I think is going to make them just handle better. If I remember right, when I was running these tires a few years ago, they drive just like a light truck tire. So they're going to be really, really useful, and it's going to save me wear and tear on my trail saws, which are they just perform better off-road as far as I'm concerned. Plus, I noticed they're both 32-inch tires. The Nitto, the Trail Grapplers, these are a 32 by 9.5 for the 15-inch rim. These are a 32 by 10 for 15-inch rim. Now you can clearly see that there's a difference there. The Nittos actually only measure, now the Nittos, they're not even squatting on the bottom. They're aired up right now to 30 foot-pounds, which is what the sidewall calls for on these. Obviously you can run them lower should you choose to off-road, but I'm gonna be using them probably like this. They stand 31 inches tall, mounted with 30 pounds of air in them. And that's at least an inch shorter. So they don't measure very true, and they still have basically all of their tread on them. I measured them compared to what they advertise the tread depth to be on their website. So clearly the trail saws are gonna be what I'm just gonna keep running. They still got a lot of tread left on them. I'm hoping to I'll probably look at new tires at the end of this year. But I'm just gonna keep running these until they're ground down. When we're on charity rides, you know, some of them, you know, we get into like some mud fields or whatever, but largely you're just hanging out with friends and raising money for good causes. So that's why I changed these around, and it was real simple. Having a bead blaster for setting the beads worked wonders. I did put together this little, I don't know, adapter for the tire chuck.
It's very clever. Thank you.
Because obviously you want to be able to apply air while you're also manipulating the bead blaster. So you can hook everything up with the valve closed, then turn everything on, starts flowing air, blast it with air, and from the bead blaster, and bada boom bada bing, it's you have a mounted tire. I put the angle on here because I didn't like with the hose putting pressure on the valve stem, so this just really worked out well. Just some hardware store brass pieces. I had most of it in my little drawer of spare parts that I keep around. So I like doing tires at home because there's no reason to pay someone else to do it for you. Invest a little bit of money in tools, especially if you plan on getting into a hobby like this where tire damage and tire replacement is going to be in your future. You know, learn how to do it yourself, and then you don't have to worry about the hassle of paying someone to do something that you can clearly do yourself. I did balance them. Only one tire took weight. It took about 2 ounces. So balancing, yeah, it's not really all that necessary for this situation, but I mean, there's times where you're out there ripping at, you know, 60, 70 miles an hour. You balance your car tires because you're going that fast. And it only makes sense to me to buy a cheap balancer and do it right. Stick it on a static balancer. It's not as good as spin balancing it, but it got the job done. And I learned that a lot of these tires aren't as far out of balance as I expected that they might be. So in any case, I think this is gonna wrap this video. She's pretty well sorted. The razor's pretty well sorted. I hope that you found it interesting and maybe even informative. I don't know. I just like making them, and I enjoy it when I can check it out and see that, you know, 3, 4, 5, maybe even a half a dozen people watch them once in a while. I hope you're having a great day, and keep an eye out for the next video. Thank you.